Charles B. Towns, 1862–1947, was born in Georgia in the year 1862 on a small farm. In his youth, he worked as a farmhand. He later moved into railroading and eventually sold life insurance, at which he was successful. He then moved to New York, and between 1901 and 1904, he had a partnership in a brokerage firm that failed. It was at this time he was approached by a mysterious, unnamed individual who claimed that he had a cure for drug addictions, such as heroin, opium, and alcoholism. The mysterious individual suggested to Towns they could make a lot of money from it. In spite of Towns' own doctor stating the cure was ridiculous, Towns set out to find addicted people by placing ads for drug fiends who wanted to be cured. Towns by this time had read all the known literature on drug addiction and alcoholism. By trial and error, Towns refined his cure over time. Towns' reputation spread in the criminal underworld, and he treated addicted gangsters. Towns involved Dr. Alexander Lambert in his venture. Dr. Lambert was a professor at Cornell University Medical College, who as a physician to President Theodore Roosevelt informed various people in government about the Towns-Lambert cure. Towns was eventually sent by the U.S. government to China to assist with the recovery of some of the 160 million drug addicts in the country. By 1908, while in China, Towns claimed to have cured thousands by his methods. Between the years 1910 and 1920, he aided in the drafting of the Boylan Bill and the Harrison Act. The formula for Towns-Lambert cure was the deliriant atropa belladonna, commonly known as belladonna or deadly nightshade. The effects of belladonna include delirium, hallucinations, light sensitivity, confusion, and dry mouth. The second ingredient in the mixture was another deliriant, Hyoscyamus niger, also known as henbane, hogsbean, or insane root. It contained two alkaloids, hyoscyamine and hyoscine. The third major ingredient was the dried bark or berries of Xanthoxylum americanum, or prickly ash, added to help with diarrhea and intestinal cramps. The dosage given was determined by the physiologic reaction of each patient. When the face became flushed, the throat dry, and the eyes dilated, the amount of the mixture was reduced or stopped. The mixture was given every hour, day and night, for nearly 50 hours. The end of the treatment was marked by the abundance of stools, and then castor oil was given to the patient as a further purgative. The treatment was also described as puke and purge. Every 12 hours, the patient was given CC, compound cathartic, pills, and blue mass. These were 19th-century medications of varying composition. Blue mass included mercury and was prescribed for a cornucopia of ailments. When a patient was admitted to the hospital while intoxicated or at the end of a spree, the first thing that was done was to put the patient to sleep. Charles B. Towns Hospital was located at 293 Central Park West in Manhattan. Towns started the hospital in 1901, and the Roaring Twenties and the increase in alcoholism made it successful. However, after the stock market crash of 1929, admissions to the hospital had significantly declined. The hospital aimed at drying out the well-to-do patient. It was an expensive detoxification facility, and one was not admitted unless the fee was paid in advance, or a backer guaranteed to pay the fee, which in those days was $200 to $350 for a 5-day stay. Bill Wilson, co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, was admitted to Towns Hospital 3 times between 1933 and 1934. On his third and last stay, he showed signs of delirium tremens and was treated with the belladonna cure. He thought this would help his alcoholism, but he inevitably drank within 3 months of leaving the hospital after successfully completing the belladonna cure. It was only after meeting a member of the Oxford group, Ebby Thatcher, who is later discussed, and undergoing the Oxford group's soul surgery, that he experienced a white light experience or a spiritual awakening. After that experience, he never drank again. Wilson's description of his experience: "All at once I found myself crying out, 'If there is a God, let him show himself. I am ready to do anything, anything.' Suddenly the room lit up with a great white light. I was caught up in an ecstasy which there are no words to describe. It seemed to me in my mind's eye that I was on a mountain, and that a wind not of air but of spirit was blowing, and then it burst upon me that I was a free man. Slowly the ecstasy subsided. I lay there on the bed, but now for a time I was in another world, a new world of consciousness. And I thought to myself, so this is the God of the preachers. A great peace stole over me." Don Lattin, author of a book by the University of California Press entitled Distilled Spirits, found letters and documents revealing that Wilson at first struggled with the idea that one drug could be used to overcome addiction to another. Wilson thought initially the substance could help others understand the alcohol-induced hallucinations experienced by addicts, and that it might terrify drinkers into changing their ways. But after his first acid trip at the Veterans Administration VA hospital in Los Angeles on 29 August 1956, Wilson began to believe it was insight, not terror, that could help alcoholics recover. LSD, by mimicking insanity, could help alcoholics achieve a central tenet of the 12-step program proposed by AA, he believed. It was a matter of finding a power greater than ourselves that could restore us to sanity. He warned, "I don't believe LSD has any miraculous property of transforming spiritually and emotionally sick people into healthy ones overnight. It can set up a shining goal on the positive side. After all, it is only a temporary ego reducer." But Wilson added, "The vision and insights given by LSD could create a large incentive, at least in a considerable number of people." His words were found in a late 50s letter to Father Ed Dowling, a Catholic priest and member of an experimental group he had formed in New York to explore the spiritual potential of LSD. A few months on, Wilson was yet more positive about the long-term benefits. "More and more it appears to me that the experience has done a sustained good," he wrote on 4 December 1956. "My reactions to things totally, and in particular, have very definitely improved for no other reason that I can see." Wilson, however, remained sensitive to the controversy of his experiments. In a letter to Cohen, written between 1956 and 1961, he reported hearing gossip about his LSD use in AA circles. He reminded Cohen about the desirability of omitting his name when discussing LSD with AAs. Cohen reassured Wilson that his LSD trials did not include other active AA members. In 1958, Wilson defended his drug use in a long letter, but soon afterwards removed himself from the AA governing body to be free to do his experiments. As word of Bill's activities reached the fellowship, there were inevitable repercussions. Most AAs were violently opposed to his experimenting with a mind-altering substance. LSD was then totally unfamiliar, poorly researched, and entirely experimental, and Bill was taking it.